But I don't mean to start the week off on a bit of a negative vibe. It's hard not to. And the reason I say it's hard not to is because we should be excited at the moment. We should be excited for TBC. But I just feel like there's a bit of a negative vibe. And it could be the server I'm on. It could be the forums I look at. It could be the Discord servers I'm a part of. But it just seems to be everywhere. There's constantly something to complain about. Not a very good time. We're like a week away from TBC launching. I'm excited for it, don't get me wrong, but there is just still that air of uncertainty on what the launch is going to be like, how the content's going to be handled, how the bugs are going to be fixed, how many bugs are going to be in at launch, because at the moment, ultimately, is the game ready? From your perspective, drop a comment below of what your class and spec is, and do you feel you are ready for TBC, or has it been rushed? If you feel like, you're playing an arms warrior and it feels perfect, there's no bugs, everything's cool, you're absolutely loving it, bring on TBC, then absolutely fine. I myself, I feel like it's been a bit rushed. Now, we've got large sections of the community being alienated with different things. It doesn't affect everyone and it doesn't bother everyone. So using the real sort of the cash shop, if you want to call it that, deluxe edition, the whatever, the negativity around that, people who are buying deluxe editions, having them spat on when they're on their mounts and stuff like that. I mean, you're always going to get that sort of thing, the sort of disgusting behaviour, if you like. It's a game, for Christ's sake. If this person wants to pay money and buy a mount, like, who cares? I personally haven't bought it yet because I don't like being spat on. No, it's not because of that. I genuinely don't care. I just haven't got around to buying it yet because I've been doing other things. But it shows the sort of the division amongst people. Some people are not bothered by the cash shop, like me. If it's there, whatever, I'm not really that bothered. People keep telling me I'm the only content creator who isn't bothered by cash shop. Genuinely, I'm not that bothered. If I want to spend money on it, I'll spend money on it. As long as it's not pay to win, which arguably, like the 58 boost, you could consider falls under pay to win. But, again, for me personally, I'm not that bothered. I'm not going to go around spitting on people who are riding around on deluxe mounts that they've paid for. That's up to them. But there is this negative vibe around TBC. I've never experienced it before. I've played in every expansion up to Legion. I mean, I did play during BFA a little bit, but not like in the build up to launch, if you like. And I've never sort of felt this vibe that's going on at the moment, just this sort of negative vibe around everything. I can give specific examples. You've got, people in the Feral Druid community are talking about either quitting or re-rolling just because of the energy change, and Blizzard haven't been listening. You've got Protection Paladins that have got several things broken. Whether any of them have been fixed in the last 24 hours, I don't know. Obviously, I've been completely writ off. I've done a 7-day stream, so the last 24 hours I've pretty much just spent in bed. But there was problems with threat, where if you went and respec'd with Righteous Fury on, you'd have ridiculous amounts of threat. I think it like doubled or tripled. Great guy called Dev, so he's I'm a big fan of his actually. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description. I mean, he's done loads of sort of deep dives into prop paladin specifics, and there's a lot of things that are broken with it. The one-handed specialization, for example, where it's meant to give extra damage and it's not doing that. You've got the Righteous Fury. There's certain seals that can't be twisted, although that's meant to be. But that's another example. So prop paladins are probably not too happy at the moment. Feral Druids are not too happy. I hear there's even problems with rogues at the moment as well. Obviously, I mean, the hunter trap bug, that has been fixed, but how that actually happens, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it literally one frost trap filled up Shatraf pretty much, and that's not an exaggeration. It's not like that now, but it's these little things that there's probably loads of little intricate bugs with your class specifically that I don't even know about, because as you know, I spend my life pretty much exclusively on a druid. But putting all those little bugs aside, we've got launch. We've only had a 2-week pre-patch, and pretty much the last thing that Blizzard have done during our experience of the pre-patch leading up to TBC, where we're meant to be excited, we're meant to be like absolutely pumped, can't wait for it. All of these sort of people who have, been boosting their Draenei's or Blood Elves up to 60, to then do some PvP and get their gear. The honour change probably makes them feel quite deflated. I mean, there was absolute it was chaos, where you was basically getting 10 times the amount of honour that you should get, which, alright, fair enough, it was a bug, it should have been changed. Whoever the guy is that actually reported that to Blizzard, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but why? Just why, But these people on day one who'd done nothing but PvP all of a sudden had a massive advantage in the amount of gear they could get. There was people running around with the rank 14 weapons, even dual wield rank 14 weapons on day one. But then that sort of rug got swept out from everybody's feet, underneath everybody's feet. And, you know, they took it down to just, well, by a factor of 10, they nerfed the Honor. Yes, now they have doubled it, and it's AB, or it was AB weekend, it's not even weekend anymore, but, you know, they doubled it, so you was getting double Honor. But did they really need to nerf it in the first place? As in, alright, they messed up. It went in at times 10 when it shouldn't have been. But does it really matter? You know, there's stuff that they could have done to do some sort of damage control after the pre-patch. So what I'm saying is, rather than like all of a sudden all these, you know, people who were PvPing on day one while everybody else was leveling or was doing other things, whatever they was doing, you know, getting that big advantage, they could have just left it at times 10. Let people have a bit of fun in the lead up to TBC rather than just deflating people, which is how I feel the majority of the communities that I talk to just feels deflated over one thing or the other, whether it is the Honor change or it's the, you know, talking about the instance cap, and then, you know, that got lifted. Obviously a good move, but, you know, there seems like there's always something to complain about at the moment, and I think it's a really bad time for Blizzard to be upsetting people when it comes to this game, because there's so many other games or potential hits on the horizon. I mean, if you've listened to me talk over on twitch.tv/Scottejaye87, you know I'm quite excited about Ashes of Creation. I'm going to be in the alpha. I've also pre-ordered the deluxe edition of New World. That's just to have a play about with, you know, just to see what it's like. But Ashes of Creation really has caught my eye, and it's definitely something that I will be putting content out about. Well, 100%. I mean, I plan on doing one Ashes of Creation video, probably each Sunday, just, you know, throughout the alpha. Once the NDA's been lifted, the verbal NDA's been lifted already, but once I can actually play the alpha 2, show you footage, talk about the classes, it might be a complete flop. I might be getting excited for no reason, and it's, you know, it will die like every other MMO has, while WoW has basically sat on the throne. But also, I'm quite hopeful that it will do fairly well, and, you know, it could give all of these people who are playing WoW, I don't want to say just for the sake of it, but just playing it, even though the game's irritating them more than they're getting pleasure out of it. So it's a dangerous time for me, you know, from a Blizzard perspective, I would say, because Ashes ticks a lot of boxes, especially for the old school MMO players. You know, I'm originally from Star Wars Galaxies, and even before then I was playing a little bit of different games, but it was Star Wars Galaxies where I really sort of got bang into the MMO scene, do you know what I mean? And I enjoy that old era of sort of gaming where there's a lot more choice, and ultimately there's like 64 classes that you can be in Ashes of Creation, and it's not going to be about like balancing those classes perfectly so they all do near enough the same amount of damage. In those sort of MMOs, there isn't balance. They try to create balance, but ultimately when there's that much going on, it's impossible to balance. But that also makes for interesting gameplay, which I'm hoping we're going to see in Ashes. But anyway, this ain't an Ashes video, I'm sorry, I went off on a bit of a rant, but I'm just making a point that if I've played WoW since vanilla, you know, since 2 weeks after it actually launched back in the day, and I'm excited about Ashes of Creation, and so will other people. So the more Blizzard alienate certain, you know, portions of the audience, they might have somewhere else to go soon, which I think is a bit dangerous. As I say, I know this was a bit of a rant video, but a lot of people probably feel like this. If you feel like this, let me know in the comments. I know for a fact that I've spoke to probably 15, 20 people over the last week that have cancelled their sub. During the pre-patch, they've cancelled their sub for one reason or another. And a lot of it is just down to them saying, it's not ready. TBC is not ready. They'll come back in, you know, 2-3 months, which will still be fine because you'll still be able to clear tier 4 because we've got a few weeks before season 1 even starts. And obviously phase 1 is going to go alongside season 1. So we're going to be farming tier 4 for ages. So these people who are taking a break and then seeing how it pans out along the line and then coming back, probably not a bad idea. I'm not going to be doing it, don't get me wrong. As I say, you know, I'm looking forward to smashing out all of phase 1 in June. For me personally, just getting it all done, and then obviously July is when the NDA is lifted for Ashes of Creation. So I'll be obviously sort of splitting my time a little bit and trying to give a bit of attention to both, and hopefully keeping you updated along the way of, you know, the TBC progress throughout phase 1 and obviously the Ashes of Creation through the alpha, because I think a lot of you probably are interested. If you're not interested, fair enough. If you're not interested, let me know in the comments, because I'd be interested to know if everybody's like, no, I just want to play WoW. I'm not bothered about any other MMOs. Me personally, for the last 17 years, I've always seeked out the next MMO to go over to. But unfortunately, they normally fail, and I end up back on WoW in one way, shape, or form, whether it's classic or retail. All I'm saying, guys, look, keep your chin up. Let's try and spread some happiness rather than negativity around it all. And ultimately, it's TBC. We wanted TBC. We're going into it. We should be going into it, you know, in a really good mood, not with this sort of bad vibes that seem to be going around all over the place. So cheer up, guys. Have a good week. Happy Monday, and I'll see you on the next one.